Ada for wanting to break up with my long-distance girlfriend? I am a 21-year-old guy, and I have been in a long-distance relationship with my girlfriend who is 19 for about 9 months now. At first, things were all right. We had the usual little misunderstandings and arguments, but they always got sorted out. Somehow, one thing that always bothered me, though, was how she would block me everywhere whenever we argued, like on all social media and messages, and I had to borrow my friend's phone just to reach her and calm her down. Recently, things have gotten worse. She has been stressed looking for a new job, and I get that it is tough for her, but every time I try to support her, she pushes me away or treats me badly, like I am the one making her life hard. She snaps at me over the smallest things and makes me feel responsible for her frustration. I have tried talking to her about this, how unfair it feels and how it is not healthy to dump all of that on me, but she ignores me, and I get the silent treatment. Our conversations have become so dry and strained because I know if I say the wrong thing, she will explode and it will all start again. Lately, I have been standing up for myself more and telling her that I do not deserve this, which has led to a few heated arguments from my side too, something that rarely happened before because I used to always keep calm. I felt bad about losing my patience, but I also knew I needed to let the stress out, so I started playing more sports, spending a few hours by myself to relax, but this made her angry too. She said I was avoiding her, that I should spend that time talking to her, and it turned into another fight where I found myself begging her to stay again. I am just tired of this cycle. She said something in our last argument that stuck with me, that I used to run after her to fix things, but now I just wait for her to calm down and come to me, and that is true because I am done chasing peace all the time when she keeps destroying it. She also said a lot of hurtful things in that fight, and I did not even react because I felt numb to it all. Even my friends told me they see how toxic this relationship has become, and they wonder why I stay in it. I feel like a bad person because now she sends me pictures of her crying or hurting herself and says she is seeing someone professional for help, which is actually a relief because maybe she will get proper support that I could never give her. I am exhausted. I feel like I am breaking inside, and this is not what a relationship should feel like. I want to end it. I want to get my peace back. I want a relationship where I am heard and not blamed for everything, where my feelings are seen and not dismissed, where I am not the villain in someone else's story just because they have decided that I am. I feel terrible because she is in a fragile place mentally, and I feel like leaving her now would be cruel, but at the same time, I cannot go on like this. I think I should have left a long time ago, but I kept holding on thinking I could fix this or that it would change, and it has only drained me more. Should I wait until she feels better and then leave gently, or should I just break it off clean and soon so that I can breathe again? Ada for thinking about ending this when she clearly needs help, or am I just finally putting myself first after months of walking on eggshells and being treated like I do not matter? Story 2. Ada for being upset that my wife expects me to do everything while she does nothing. I am a 34-year-old man, and lately I have been feeling completely worn out, and I am honestly wondering if I am the bad guy here. My wife, who is 32, and I have been married for 6 years, and we have 2 little kids. One is 5, and the other just turned 2. I work full-time, long hours, and my paycheck is basically the only money coming into our home. On top of that, I am the one who gets up early every morning to get the kids dressed, fed, and ready for the day. I drop them off at daycare or preschool, then I head off to my job, which is stressful and exhausting in itself. I get home in the evening and immediately start making dinner, making sure the kids are fed, bathing them, putting them to bed, and then cleaning up the house before I finally get a few minutes to sit down just to do it all again. The next day, my wife does not work. She stays home, but not because she takes care of the house or the kids. She says she does not believe in old-fashioned roles, and that being a stay-at-home mom who cooks and cleans is beneath her. She says she is a modern woman who should not be expected to do chores or childcare because that would be sexist. She says if I want help with housework, I should hire someone, but I cannot afford that because I am already working like crazy to cover everything she wants and needs. What gets to me is that while I am running around like this, she is usually sitting on the couch watching shows or scrolling on her phone or going out with friends or shopping online. She expects me to bring her things, do things for her, take care of every single thing the kids need, and also give her emotional support and attention whenever she feels like it. If I ever try to talk about how exhausted I am or how I feel like I am breaking, she accuses me of being controlling or oppressive, or says I am attacking her beliefs and freedom. I have told her I do not expect her to be my servant or anything like that. I just want some kind of balance, some kind of shared effort, because right now it feels like I am the only adult in the house. I am working full-time and doing all the housework and most of the parenting while she does whatever she wants. I love my children, I love my family, but this does not feel fair or healthy for me. When I brought it up last week very carefully, she immediately blew up at me, telling me I was being toxic and that I should be grateful she is such a free spirit who is not chained by society's expectations, but I am not sure I can keep this up much longer because I feel like I am slowly falling apart and no one seems to care or even notice. I want to know if I am really the one in the wrong here, Ada, for thinking that this situation is completely unfair and that I should not have to carry the entire weight of this family by myself while my wife chooses to do nothing. Ada, for not wanting my husband to go on vacation with his family. I am a 22-year-old woman and my husband is 28, and right now I am feeling completely torn and unsure if I am being selfish or unreasonable. We have been married for almost 3 years and I recently found out I was pregnant, but not long after I learned that I would be having a miscarriage. I just had the procedure done 2 days ago and my body and mind are both worn out. I feel empty, I feel lost, and I honestly do not know how to get through this without support. My husband has 2 children from a previous relationship. They are 6 and 4 and they are staying with us for the summer break. His family planned a trip to the lake for 4 days and they invited him and the kids to join. His parents and grandparents were all going, and this was planned months ago. At first we thought he would not be able to go because of work, but after telling his job about the miscarriage, he got time off for bereavement. Now the problem is that instead of staying here with me like I thought he told me he wants to go on the trip with his family because they are all expecting him and the kids want him there. I understand that completely, but I cannot help the feeling in my chest because I will be left alone in the house for 4 days. I do not have friends nearby and my family lives out of state, so it will just be me and my thoughts and my pain. My body still hurts from the surgery and my mind is not okay. I have struggled with sadness and anxiety even before this happened, and now I feel like I am on the edge of falling apart. I tried telling him that I did not want him to miss the trip, but I also did not want to be left completely alone during the hardest week of my life. He said I am making him feel guilty and that I should understand he needs to be there for his kids and that his family is looking forward to this. But what about me? I moved far away from everything I knew for him, and now when I need him the most, he is choosing to go on vacation. I do not want to ruin things for him or his family, but I cannot pretend this is easy. I am scared to be by myself. I keep thinking about everything I lost and how quiet the house will be without him or the kids here. I feel terrible for asking him to stay, but I also feel terrible thinking about sitting alone while they are having fun without me. He said he would call and check in, but that is not the same as being here when I wake up crying or when I need help getting up or when my thoughts get too heavy to handle. I do not want to be the wife who keeps her husband from his family, but I also do not want to be the wife who suffers in silence while everyone else moves on from this faster than I can. I keep wondering if I am wrong for wanting him to stay, if I am asking for too much, if I am holding him back from being a father and a son and a grandson when I should be stronger than this. But the truth is I am not strong right now. I am broken and hurting and afraid to be by myself for that long. I feel selfish, but I also feel abandoned. Is it really so wrong to want him to choose me for these few days when I need him most? So I have to ask Ada for not wanting my husband to go on this vacation with his family while I stay home alone feeling like this. Story 3. Ada, for making my housemate come back to clean her mess after she moved out. I have been sharing a house with 5 other girls for the past year, and one of them, who I will call Lisa, is the reason I am here, wondering if I did something wrong. We had already lived together the year before, and we had plans to live together again next term, so this is not a stranger, but someone I considered a friend. At the end of the semester, most of the housemates had moved out about a month before me, and Lisa was the last person living in the house for nearly 2 weeks by herself before she finally moved out fully. I came back after that because I needed to clear my room and collect my things from the kitchen. We made an agreement before that she would clean the bathroom and I would handle the kitchen. It seemed fair and simple enough. Lisa also said she would deal with a few other things she left around the house, like removing the blue tack from the walls outside the bathroom, cleaning the disposable barbecue in the garden, and wiping down my air fryer, which she had been using since she did not have her own. She also had a few of her things in my room that I assumed she would take with her. When I got to the house the day after she moved out and left her key through the door, she texted me asking if I could take a bag of her things back to her place since we live pretty close. I said that was fine, but when I opened the front door, I was completely shocked. The kitchen bin was still full and reeking. There was old rotten food in the fridge, frozen things left in the freezer and pantry. My air fryer was sitting on the side, dirty and greasy. The barbecue was still outside, untouched, and the blue tack was stuck all over the walls as if she forgot it entirely. On top of that, her belongings were still in my room, sitting on the floor. I instantly felt annoyed and frustrated. I thought about grabbing her bag, but I was so irritated that I left it there on purpose and and packed up my car. Without it, once my car was full, I realized I had no space for the bag anyway. I texted her saying she would have to come back for it herself, and I listed everything she needed to clean when she returned because I was not going to take care of her mess. That is when everything exploded. Lisa texted back furious that I left her bag and refused to clean up for her. She said I was being unfair and making things harder for her. I apologized for not being able to bring her bag, but I really expected her to apologize for the disgusting state she left the house in, but she never once said sorry. We ended up arguing for almost 2 hours over text, and after going in circles, I just removed her from my social media because I was done with the drama. She told me she might come back if the landlord would let her in, but she also said if that did not work, she was not going to bother fixing anything, which could make us all lose our security deposit of £250, all because she could not clean up properly before throwing her key through the letterbox. The part that made me most angry was that she acted like she only forgot a bag when in reality she left half the house in a mess and wanted me to deal with it all. If she had messaged me honestly saying she did not have time to clean the kitchen or the fridge or pick up the barbecue, I would not have felt this way, but she left that out on purpose to make it sound like her bag was the only thing left to worry about. She also claimed the moldy food in the fridge was not just hers, since we used to share groceries sometimes, but she was the only one living there for weeks, so I feel like that became her responsibility by default. Is it really my fault for asking her to come back and finish the cleaning she promised to do? Am I the one making this situation harder than it needs to be just because I do not want to clean up after someone else when they agreed to do it themselves? So tell me, AITAH, for insisting she returned to fix her own mess after moving out. Before we move on to the next story, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, tell us your favorite story in the comments, and if you have your own story to share, let us know down there too. Story 4. AITAH, for not attending a friend's wedding if my husband isn't invited. I received a wedding invitation from someone I used to be fairly close with, but over time our friendship became more casual, and now we mostly see each other at occasional gatherings or events hosted by mutual friends, so we are not as tight as we once were. When I opened the invitation, I noticed it was addressed only to me and not to my husband, even though both she and her fiancé have met my husband more than once, and we have spent a few evenings together in the past when they came over for dinner and game nights, so it's not as if they don't know him or have never interacted with him. The strange part for me is that another mutual friend of ours who is married received an invitation that includes her husband, which makes me wonder why my partner was left out when theirs was not. The wedding is not too far away, but it does require traveling to another city for the weekend, which means I'd have to stay overnight and make arrangements for the trip, and the cost involved. I wouldn't have minded this if my husband could join, but the thought of spending the weekend away alone without him while knowing other couples will be there together feels a bit uncomfortable and awkward. I also keep thinking about the fact that when I got married, both she and her fiancé were invited as a pair because I felt it was the respectful and considerate thing to do since they were together then as they are now. It bothers me that this same courtesy is not being extended in return. I talked about this with some of my friends, and they all seem to think it's perfectly fine to receive a solo invitation for a wedding and that I should just go for the sake of keeping the peace and not causing any drama. They say weddings are expensive and couples have to limit guest lists, so I shouldn't take it personally, but I can't help but feel like this is rude or at least inconsiderate since other people's spouses were included and mine was not. My husband isn't bothered either way, but I am finding myself leaning strongly towards not attending at all because the whole situation feels off to me, and I don't want to spend time and money on a weekend trip where I feel left out or like a second-tier guest. Even though I understand weddings are complicated to plan, part of me wonders if by not going I would be sending a message that could be taken the wrong way or cause hard feelings, but another part of me thinks that if my presence really mattered, she would have made sure my husband was welcome to. I'm also not sure why the difference was made between my invitation and that of my friend who got a +1 when our situations are the same. I'm married, she's married, so why the different treatment? It makes me feel undervalued in this friendship, which honestly has been fading for a while now, and maybe this is a sign that the connection is not what it used to be. Still, I keep asking myself if I am blowing this out of proportion and being unreasonable by even considering skipping the wedding just because of this detail. Is it wrong of me to prioritize my own comfort and feelings over showing up for someone I barely see anymore who couldn't be bothered to invite my husband to? Am I being petty or making a big deal over something that shouldn't matter so much? I really don't want to make things awkward or be seen as difficult, but I also don't feel excited or happy to attend under these circumstances, and I wonder if forcing myself to go would just make me resent the event altogether. So I have to ask AITAH for thinking of not going to a friend's wedding simply because my husband was not invited. Story 5. AITAH for not stopping my wife from dressing like a distraction around my friends. So this is something that has been bothering me for a while, but I never really thought it was such a big deal until a few of my friends made some comments that I can't seem to forget. I am a 30-year-old man and my wife is 28. We have been married for 2 years and together for 5. She is beautiful, confident, and has always dressed in a way that gets attention. When we first started dating, I actually found it attractive how she carried herself because she always seemed so sure of who she was. She likes wearing dresses that show off her figure, sometimes short skirts, tops that reveal a bit of her stomach, and outfits that make her stand out in a crowd. I never saw it as a problem because I trusted her and liked that she felt comfortable in her own skin. The issue started when I began inviting my friends over more often for dinner or weekend hangouts. A few of my guy friends started joking that I was lucky to have such a hot wife, but then they started saying things like they couldn't focus when she was around or that she was too much for a casual evening. One of my friends even told me in private that he thought it was disrespectful for a married woman to dress that way around other men. At first, I brushed it off thinking they were being immature or jealous, but then another friend said he didn't feel comfortable bringing his girlfriend over anymore because he thought his girlfriend felt insecure around my wife. After that, I started wondering if maybe I was being careless by not saying anything to her. But then I thought, why should I be the one to tell my wife how to dress in her own home? It feels wrong to tell her to cover up just because some of my friends feel distracted or uncomfortable. She isn't doing anything inappropriate. She isn't flirting or acting in any way that crosses a line. She just wears what she likes and feels good in. I did try to bring it up gently once and she got quiet and asked if I was embarrassed by her. That made me feel awful because I'm not ashamed of her at all. I love how she looks and how confident she is, but now I feel stuck because no matter what I do, someone will be upset. If I tell her to dress differently, I'll hurt her feelings and make her feel like I don't support her. If I say nothing, my friends will keep making these comments and maybe even start distancing themselves from me. I don't know what the right thing to do is. Am I really the bad guy here for letting my wife dress how she wants around my friends, or should I have stepped in and told her to tone it down for the sake of everyone else's comfort? I never thought I'd be in this position, but here I am questioning myself over something that used to make me proud. So I have to ask, AITAH for not stopping my wife from dressing like a distraction around my friends? Story 6. AITAH for refusing to lie to my boyfriend's family about why I broke up with him. I am 24, and not long ago, I ended a 3-year relationship with my boyfriend Matt, who is 26. Things between us seemed perfect on the outside, but for months I kept noticing him acting strange, like hiding his phone or stepping outside to take calls that he would never explain. I pushed the thoughts away thinking maybe I was being too suspicious or insecure until one night while he was in the shower, his phone lit up with a message from a woman I didn't know. I opened it and saw that they had been texting for a long time, saying things no girlfriend would be okay with. When I confronted him, he admitted that he had been talking to her, but swore they never met in person and begged me to forgive him. I told him I couldn't trust him anymore and that it was over. He started pleading with me not to tell his parents because he said they would be so disappointed in him and it would ruin how they saw him. A few days later, his mom called asking why we broke up because she thought we were going to get engaged soon. Matt had told her nothing and wanted me to lie and say we grew apart or it just didn't work out. I told her the truth because I didn't think it was fair to lie for him and let his family think I was the one who gave up on us for no reason. His sister messaged me later saying I was petty for embarrassing him and that I should have kept it private. Matt also texted saying I ruined his relationship with his family and that I made him look like a bad person. But I don't think I did anything wrong because he made those choices, not me. I only told the truth when I was asked directly, and I wasn't going to protect him when he didn't respect me enough to be honest in the first place. Part of me wonders if I should have just stayed quiet to keep the peace, but another part of me feels like he needed to deal with the consequences of what he did. Some of our mutual friends are also saying I took it too far by telling his family, but I don't see why I should lie to make him look better. I didn't go out of my way to tell them. They came to me wanting to know what happened. I feel torn because I don't like drama or hurting people, but I also don't want to pretend he was a good boyfriend when he wasn't. Now his mom won't stop messaging me asking for details, and his sister keeps blaming me for causing a mess in their family. Matt says I've made things worse for everyone and that I should have just told them it didn't work out so they wouldn't hate him. I can't tell if I did the right thing by being honest or if I made a mistake by not keeping quiet like he asked. So I have to ask, AITAH for refusing to lie to my boyfriend's family about why I broke up with him? Before we move on to the next story, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, tell us your favorite story in the comments, and if you have your own story to share, let us know down there too. Story 7. AITAH if I sue my employer if they fire me after I tried to use employee resources? I've been working at this clinic for nearly 8 months now. It's not a huge place, and I'm part of a smaller branch off the main hospital, so pretty much everyone in my building knows each other. I'm not going to name the place because I'm already in enough of a mess, and the last thing I want is this story finding its way back to the wrong ears. For some context, I've struggled with anxiety and mood disorders for years, and I've always tried to handle things on my own, but lately things have been piling up fast. My dad's health is getting worse, and the doctors are running all sorts of strange tests because they think he might have something rare going on. My mom has taken on so many responsibilities at home and at work ever since their partner left the family business that she's barely holding it all together, and I can tell she's burning out. On top of that, I've been working extra shifts because a few coworkers left suddenly and management hasn't bothered to replace them yet. I've also been helping out at rehearsals for a local play, which was supposed to be a good thing, but now just feels like another thing on my plate. Bills are stacking up, and my bank account is nearly empty thanks to some surprise car repairs last month that I'm still paying off. I barely sleep these days, and when I do, it's filled with weird dreams that leave me feeling more tired. I felt this bad before, but not in years, and I promised myself I'd ask for help if it ever got this bad again. So I reached out to my doctor, but he wasn't much help. Said he didn't know any therapists in network and told me to just search for one online. That was frustrating, but I moved on and figured I'd try the employee assistance program the hospital offers. It's supposed to be private and meant to support employees like me going through rough times. I called them and explained everything honestly because I thought they were there to help. They said they'd try to find someone, but it might take time. I felt a little better knowing I'd taken a step at least. But then out of nowhere, my supervisor calls me into her office and closes the door. On the screen was a meeting with someone from HR. They said they knew about my call to the assistance line and that they were concerned. My stomach dropped because it was supposed to be confidential. I kept calm, but inside I was furious and scared. They told me to take the day off while they reviewed my situation. I'd still get paid, but they hinted this could turn into something more serious depending on what they decide. I left the building feeling like I was walking on ice that could crack at any second. Now I'm sitting at home pretending everything is fine because my mom can't handle bad news and would lose it if she knew I might lose my job. She's already overwhelmed, and the last time I told her I was struggling, she said I needed to stop complaining and toughen up. So I smile and act normal, but inside I'm angry because I did exactly what they tell us to do when we need support, and now it might cost me my job. I don't know what else I was supposed to do. If I didn't reach out, they'd blame me for not seeking help. But since I did reach out, they act like I'm suddenly a problem that needs to be handled. I've seen this pattern before when I was in college, and I swore I'd never trust these systems again, but I thought maybe this time would be different. Apparently not. So now I'm stuck waiting to hear if they'll fire me for trying to get help through the resources they gave me. And if they do let me go, I'm ready to sue because this isn't right. I followed the rules. I used the support they told me to use. If they punish me for that, they deserve to be held accountable. Some people might say I'm overreacting or that I should just let it go, but I don't think I can this time. I'm tired of being told to stay quiet and take whatever they throw at me. I've been pushed around by people in charge for too long, and I won't let them ruin my life because I dared to ask for help. So AITAH if I sue my employer if they fire me after I tried to use employee resources? Story 8. AITAH for kicking my mother out of my house. I'm a 37-year-old man, and for as long as I can remember, my mother has leaned on me for just about everything. When I was a child, she poured her emotions onto me like I was some sort of counselor, and I wasn't even old enough to fully understand what was happening. I used to babysit my younger siblings, cook simple meals, make sure they did their schoolwork, and help them get dressed for school because she wasn't able to do much herself. When I turned 12, I was already walking around the neighborhood asking people if I could cut their grass or shovel snow just to bring home a few dollars to keep the electricity running or to make sure there was some food in the fridge. When I was finally old enough to have a real job, all of my paychecks went straight to the house. I helped with rent, car insurance, groceries, everything. Then when I got married and my wife and I got our own place, my mother slowly but surely moved in with us. That was 8 years ago. My mother has several mental health diagnoses. She was labeled bipolar and also borderline personality disorder. She insists she's physically unwell, but no real diagnosis has stuck other than the multiple sclerosis they said she had decades ago, but later said wasn't accurate. She constantly talks about new symptoms she's sure are life-threatening. It never ends. She'll read about some rare condition and suddenly she has every single symptom. When our son was born 2 years ago, things got unbearable. My wife and I have tried to raise our child while my mother seems to go out of her way to interrupt us no matter what we're doing. She'll make up reasons to knock on the door or stand outside the nursery claiming she heard a weird noise. When the baby gets a tiny cough or sneezes, once she panics and insists it's something serious. I lived this growing up. Every fever I got was treated like some terrible disease. I never got to just be sick like a normal kid. We've tried to set boundaries. We've had long talks explaining clearly that we need privacy, that she cannot jump in every time she hears a sound, that she has to let us parent, but she ignores it. And then she cries to the rest of the family saying she has no idea why things are tense in the house. A year ago, after we told her to give us space, she claimed she was diagnosed with cancer, a very rare type her brother supposedly died from. But we've never seen paperwork. She's never gone to treatments, no doctor's appointments, nothing. But the announcement came right after we tried to push for boundaries. My patience has worn thin. My mind is exhausted. Every day feels like walking on eggshells. In May, the final straw broke. We made another very basic rule about not interfering with our family dog. The dog is old and needs peace and quiet, but she ignored it. She fed the dog something we told her not to. My wife completely lost it and said she was going to take our son and stay somewhere else for a while just to get a break from this madness. I couldn't handle it anymore. I told my mother she had 60 days to find somewhere else to live. She has no job, no other place to go. But I did it anyway because I refused to let my son grow up the way I did. My wife and my child deserve peace. They are not going to pay the price I've been paying for decades without even knowing it. I've only recently started to see how much damage this has caused me. The constant stress, the guilt, the manipulation disguised as helplessness. And it makes me angry. My mother keeps acting like she's the one being wronged, like we are cruel for kicking out a sick woman. But I can't keep sacrificing my family's well-being to protect her feelings. So I wonder AITAH for telling my sick mother she has to leave our home? Story 9. AITAH for asking my stepdaughter to give up her room for our new baby because she's rarely home? I'm 24 years old and recently gave birth to my first child with my husband, who is 44. He has a teenage daughter named Lily who is 18 and still lives under our roof. Lily spends most of her time either at school, working part-time at a local bookstore, or out with friends. When she is at home, she usually stays shut away in her bedroom, either reading novels, doing art, or watching shows on her tablet. She says it's part of her self-care routine and calls it recharging her energy from being around people. But honestly, to me, it sounds like an excuse to hide away and avoid the rest of us. When we first started preparing for the baby, we made the decision to turn the small guest room downstairs into a nursery. We thought it would be quiet and perfect for the baby. But after just a few weeks of sleepless nights, we realized that room stays too cold and drafty for a newborn. No matter what we did with heaters or blankets, the baby would wake up crying because it was uncomfortable, and honestly, going up and down the stairs all night is starting to drain me physically. I can't keep doing this. Lily's room, on the other hand, is the warmest and biggest bedroom in the house aside from the master. It gets plenty of natural sunlight and stays cozy all year round. It would be perfect for the baby. The thought crossed my mind that Lily really doesn't use the space that much. She's hardly ever here. Most nights she gets home late from work and crashes on the couch or stays over at a friend's house on weekends. I figured it made sense to ask her to switch to the guest room downstairs since she wasn't really using her space the way we would for the baby. When I gently brought it up to her, she completely lost it. She said that her bedroom was the only part of the house that felt like her own, and that her late mother had helped her decorate it before she passed away. She accused me of trying to erase her mother's memory and said I was making her feel like she didn't belong here anymore. I told her she was overreacting and being dramatic. It's just a room. I reminded her that she would be going off to college in less than a year anyway, and it made no sense for the baby to suffer just because she was clinging to a space she barely even used anymore. My husband overheard us and pulled me aside later, saying I was being too harsh and insensitive. He told me I should have considered Lily's feelings more and that her bedroom was more than just a space to her because of the connection to her mom. I still don't see why that means the baby should freeze all winter, or why I should keep running up and down the stairs just to avoid hurting Lily's feelings. I've gone out of my way to include her in family dinners and activities and tried hard to make her feel welcome ever since I moved in. I honestly thought she'd be willing to make this small sacrifice for her new sibling, but now she's acting like I betrayed her or something. It's frustrating because I really do want what's best for everyone, but I can't help thinking she's just being selfish and making this into a bigger issue than it has to be. I don't see why an almost grown teenager who's barely home should get the best room in the house when there's a newborn who needs it more. So now I'm left wondering AITAH for asking my stepdaughter to give up her bedroom for the baby because she's hardly there anyway? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell us your favorite story in the comments, and feel free to share your own story too.